morning. I'm Tim Clifford, President and CEO of Frontline Education. Very happy to be here with you this morning, representing a great team of about 650 folks who come to work every day trying to figure out how we can deliver technology into districts and schools around North America. Focus primarily on how to manage the human capital in those districts to drive cost efficiencies, to allow districts to put their money back into the classroom, as well as drive more effective districts. So we'll talk about how we do that here for the next 17 minutes. Frontline has been quite a rapid rise in the community. I'll give credit to Insight Venture Partners, who identified the opportunity in the human capital management space in K-12 that was primarily a manual process for districts to manage their people and data, and it was either manual process or point solutions. And so they identified a company called Frontline Technologies, which was a company that had essentially one application, which was focused on substitute management. So if you think about Uber for substitutes, that's essentially what it is, SaaS application. They had two founders who built a very nice company, great lifestyle business, as many of the companies that we buy today are, founder-led lifestyle businesses. In many cases, they're built on kitchen tables and grow to 10, 20, $30 million businesses. And so we have aggregated, as you can see here on the bottom of the slide, 11 different acquisitions. But I would point out that we didn't just cram a lot of things together. This was designed to be a software platform that would become very, very broad, but that would be fully integrated, would be user-friendly, that would get high adoption, that would provide value into teachers, administrators, and employees in districts, which is what we've done. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But it has been quite a rapid rise, and again, a lot of employees who have worked very hard. In these acquisitions, we really approach acquisitions quite deliberately. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But we try to embrace the cultures and the organizations, and the reason why employees have worked so hard to build these smaller companies, and we try to maintain as much of the culture as we can while fitting it into the overall Frontline culture, because we recognize that if we come in and just kind of crush a Frontline stamp on each of these acquisitions, that most of the employees are going to leave and find another tight, small, entrepreneurial business to go to. And so that's the approach we take not only with our employees, but also with our districts. We have over 97% retention. Our gross retention is over 102%. And so we're very, very employee focused. We're very, very customer focused. And that's enabled us to build a company very fast, but also tightly integrated. So, as I said, we're the only scale pure play HCM SaaS provider serving K-12. K-12 is all we do. There are 30,000 K-12 organizations in the United States and Canada, and we have 12,000 as clients, representing about 80,000 different schools. Really like the market that we're in. There's not been a decrease in school funding on a macro basis, not looking at an individual district or a state, but on a macro basis, there's not been any reduction in ed funding over the last 20 years, so it's got a good support system from an economic basis, and our solutions are really not that expensive at all. When I first came to the business and looked at it with Insight, I said, how do you build a business when you have people paying you on average $6,000 to $8,000? I mean, you can't build the business. But what I found is that we have an enormous transaction engine that sells a lot of these subscriptions. And what we've done is build a portfolio of solutions now so that we have these 12,000 organizations on average only have 2 applications with us, but we have over 14 applications today on the platform. So this is what the platform ecosystem looks like. We have put together in basically 4 major bundles, the recruiting and hiring bundle, absence and time, professional growth, and special ed and interventions. Recruiting and hiring is a really important aspect of what we do. We have created not only an applicant tracking system and an assessment platform to assess candidates and drive time out of the process of trying to identify who the best candidate is, interview, hire, and onboard. We have a full onboarding package that comes with frontline recruiting and hiring as well. But we have created talent pools, and this is really important because if you just have an applicant tracking system and a school district posts a job out on the job board, which we have the largest job board in K-12 today, that's great, but then you're essentially, you're a retail store waiting for the fish to come along and bite on your hook. And so what we've done is create talent pools where we entice teachers to build their profiles in these talent pools, and then schools can actually say, okay, I am looking for a 5th grade math teacher with this kind of a background, and they can go into our talent pools, they can screen and identify the top 3 or 4 candidates they would like to recruit, and they can target to recruit these candidates. This started with the concept of states wanting to build talent pools because of equity issues. It's really easy for affluent suburban districts to attract teachers. It's much harder for inner city and rural. And so these talent pools we first started to create through our acquisition of Teachers, and created these opportunities for rural and inner city leaders to be able to identify candidates and recruit them to bring them into their district rather than waiting for, in many cases, nobody to apply for that position. So I've given you a little bit of a deeper dive on frontline recruiting and hiring, but gives you a sense of, I think in that particular instance, the depth, the breadth, but also the different view that we take. It's not just a technology application, okay, you can hire people. We really think ahead and try to think about both predictive analytics as well as a different way to try and source candidates. And each one of these bundles has really, really bright people that we've attracted both through acquisitions and hiring that think differently about these kinds of processes. We have the largest source of employees for us is public districts. We hire an awful lot of people, or they come to us through acquisition, who have been in the chairs of the people that we're trying to serve. Frontline Central is part of the platform. I'm going to highlight this for a second because it's something that we launched over a year ago. And what we did actually several years ago when we launched this effort, we knew we were going to be acquiring companies. What we didn't want to do is just, as I say, aggregate a bunch of stuff and then push it out to the marketplace and have things that weren't integrated, that data got messed up, you had different identities multiple times in systems. And so our CTO designed the architecture of a platform where we could both go fast, continue to do acquisitions, but not have to slow down and rewrite every application that we bought so that it worked together. And so an elegant framework was built for the platform, which creates a common set of services across the bottom here. So we've got workflow engine, we've got course libraries, dashboards, we've got benchmarking, we have mobile app, we've got security, we're SOC 2 certified, and all of these common services, we will take an application that we acquire, and within 90 days, we will embed it in the platform, and it will be integrated with the other solutions. And so back to Frontline Central. Frontline Central was designed to be a central repository for a lot of information about the individual. Again, you don't want to have to enter information in each application about the individual. We need one source of the truth for an employee, and we have that here. It's also an electronic filing cabinet. It works great for onboarding. When you get, you can expose this to employees before they even start their first day of work. They can fill out all the forms and benefits or whatever things they have to do. They can sign their contract. This can all be done electronically and stored in the system. We also have the ability, Frontline Central takes the data from forms and will store it in data repository. So it unlocks all of the data that heretofore has been locked in filing cabinets and paper. Give you a sense of scale, this is what's gone on in our recruiting application over the last hiring season. So 7 million applications submitted. We have 4.4 unique recruiting platform users and 391,000 jobs posted. So quite a robust platform. It's the largest one in the industry. Bit of a case study. So Lampeter-Strasburg School District is a client, 3,100 students in 2 elementary schools, a middle school and a high school. They've got about 224 teachers and 190 support staff. Again, the challenges, the volume of paperwork, onboarding and managing various employee status groups, as I mentioned before, time and resource investment in a largely manual process. And you can see some of the results here, which are quite dramatic. Onboarding employee went from 3 hours to 15 to 20 minutes. So these kinds of time savings, when we talk about helping districts be more effective and efficient, tremendous efficiencies where we give time back to administrators and teachers to do the things they really will generate greater value in student learning. We aren't in the classroom. We don't want to go in the classroom. We want to do everything outside the classroom to help the district run more efficiently and more effectively. This gives you a sense of the platform and its capabilities. Again, SOC 2 compliant security. We think we're the only company in the ed tech space that has been SOC 2 certified, but quite a compelling and robust platform. The mobile capabilities are getting richer and richer every day, and of course we find that my daughter is a preschool director, and it was funny, one of the first days I was on the job at Frontline, and there was a release coming out, and the engineers got done presenting, and I said, well, where's the mobile? And the response was, well, we're dealing with teachers in schools, they don't really use mobile devices. I said, wait, I beg to differ. I was talking to my daughter last night, and she was on her phone and her iPad doing things for her school. I think we have to come into the 21st century here. So mobile has been a big investment for us in exposing a lot of this stuff, so people don't have to be locked down to a desktop in order to do their work. So this is how it comes together, and the engine and the platform creates tremendous amount of value too, because again, these aren't point solutions that don't speak to one another. And so what we do is we're unlocking the potential to have a string of events occur for a teacher, for a district administrator, where heretofore they had not been automated or strung together. Special ed teacher quits mid-year. Well, right away, it kicks off a substitute. There's a tremendous value in getting substitutes into the classroom, we all know that, but especially with special ed, and you can avoid a lot of, you can avoid litigation. I mean, special ed is obviously it's a big expense. 12% of students are in special ed, but it chews up in many cases in districts about 23 to 25% of the entire budget. So it is an expensive proposition, but also it's one that can lead to litigation. And so special ed teacher quits, we make sure we get the substitute into the platform again, using Uber for substitutes. We have higher fill rates than anybody else with substitutes, and we make sure that happens. We make sure that we're able to kick off a hiring process so that we can search for the next special ed teacher and efficiently onboard that person and get them in. So again, these are the kinds of activities across the platform that create different and new value for clients than just thinking about point solutions that happen to sit together. And scheduling professional growth programs. This is interesting, and we're going to talk about data. Data is an important part of what we do here at Frontline. The Frontline Research and Learning Institute was launched a couple of years ago to actually go into our data, organize it, and then bring it out to district leaders and teachers so that they can understand what's going on in their school, in their classroom, throughout the district, and compare themselves to other districts, either my size, in my state, across the country. The data is validated by Johns Hopkins Center for Research and Reform in Education, and it's nationally, we have such a large amount of data that it is statistically representative of national norms, and that data is brought up into the system as well. As you can see here, the amount of data that we have is tremendous. We have in many cases over 20 years of data from many of the acquisitions that we've made. We literally have billions of data points that the Institute is now mining, and we not only mine the data and bring it up into platforms and reporting systems for users, but we also are launching a variety of activities, and we publish and produce benchmark reports quite frequently to give this information back to our clients. We're a mission-driven organization, so we launched the Institute not with the idea that we were going to make money off the data, but with the idea that we were going to give information and insights back to districts so they can help solve problems for kids. This is something we're very proud of. The line, there's a copy in the back of the room if you'd like to take it. We launched this a year and a half ago. We've now produced 3 print editions. It is a very professionally done concept, but it really was launched. John Dacey, former superintendent of LA Unified and Prince George's counties, is our chief editor. We have a board of editorial advisory board that meets a couple times a year and decides editorial content. But this is around trying to bring the best and brightest folks together, right, left, center, traditional reformers, and trying to find solutions to the most difficult problems in public education today. It's something that we, as I said, are very proud of. We have folks like Jeb Bush, Arnie Duncan, Ted Mitchell, Undersecretary under President Obama, and Randy Weingarten. So we have folks from all different viewpoints, but the whole concept is civil discourse, and we bring people together in this journal. We supply this to all of our clients, so it was sent to 12,500 district leaders last year, and it now is automatically, when you become a Frontline client, you get the journal. We're sponsoring civil discourse dinners around the country where we're bringing a lot of folks together to advance this. So the flywheel is really spinning for Frontline. As we've built out the application set, we now have the largest set of data around employees in districts, and as we continue to do acquisitions, we continue to add more data. We are building a nice wall behind us as the only pure play HCM vendor at scale. Nobody else can really come into the market and compete with us at this point on the basis that we compete because they don't have the data. We have more data than anyone else. If somebody came in and tried to fund the development of some applications, there's not going to be any data there. And so we've got this treasure trove of data that's really been very valuable for us and for our clients. We built a distribution system that at this point is at great scale, where we have over 80 sales reps now in the field. And we've got good scale, and we all know that in this market, distribution is king. 82% of our sales come from our base. I mentioned that we only have 2 applications really at this point in the early stage of our growth and development. We have so many clients, but again, we have over 14 applications, and the average client only has 2 at this point. But as you can see in those bottom circles, we had only 3%, in 2015, only 3% of our sales came with 3 or 4 applications, and today it's 20% of our sales come with 3 or 4 applications. And I'm getting the red light, so I'll be around for questions if anybody has any. I appreciate your attention today. Thanks for listening to the Frontline story.